Welcome to Tough Conversations with David Wood, where play meets depth. We help teams and high-performing leaders like you to master your tough conversations so you succeed in your career and in your life. When we avoid tough conversations, we stay small. Teams stay disengaged, conflicted, and ultimately end up quitting. When we lean in and master our tough conversations, they become the defining moments that literally shape our careers, our relationships, and our lives. So let's dive in and master your next tough conversation so you can be the leader that you would follow. Let's play.
I love this iTunes review from Sensitive Soul. I want to read it to you guys. I'm excited to have the opportunity to listen to such tough conversations and witness the breakthrough moments that honor both people in the conversation. There is definitely an art to speaking from the heart and being open enough to listen from the heart as well. Where do I find this worksheet that is spoken of? Well, Sensitive Soul, you can find that at playforreal.life/blueprint. So thanks for this review. If you like this episode and you're inspired to leave a review so that we can climb in the ranks and reach more people, there'll be a link at the end of the show to do that. And perhaps I'll read it out on a future episode. And now, on with the show. What do I think is most important in my life? What are the practices I want to do? I want to dance more, just spontaneously for a minute. I want to apologize to somebody. I want to tell someone I love them. Welcome. I'm so excited for this episode. I'm so motivated. I'm actually getting sick. I'm feeling sicker by the minute, but I'm like, I have to get this out while it feels hot. I've been wanting to gamify things for a long time. I have a brand called Play for Real. I believe life is the ultimate game. And if we can gamify it and recognize the good moves that we make, recognize the moves that didn't work, and even reward ourselves for playing well, I think it's more fun. And people say you get what you measure. So if we measure the good practices in our life and track those, then I believe we'll do more of them. And if we lose points for the negative practices that don't support us, it increases awareness. I think we'll do them less and our life will get better. So I got so excited today. I was going to write my own app to do this, but I went researching and I found an app that already does it. You can set up all your good practices, your negative practices. You can set up your daily practices so you get penalized if you don't do one on a particular day. And you can also add your to-do list to the app and you get points when you check off the to-do list. And then there's rewards. You get to reward yourself. You can either buy something in the app, this is like a hat for your avatar or something, or a real life reward. Like for me, I want a PlayStation 4 and a virtual reality kit to go with it. So that's going to take a lot of points. I'm going to need to do a lot of good practices to earn that. So let's jump in. I'm going to use my life as an example, and I'm going to be really transparent. I haven't edited anything in here. I'm going to show you all the practices that I think are good. I'll show you my negative practices that I'd like to do less of, or at least lose points if I do them. And my goal is to motivate you to choose your own values. You can copy some of mine. Maybe it'll trigger some ideas like, oh yeah, I want to do that. But what are your values? The good practices and the bad practices. And then if you like, you can use the same app, which I don't own, I don't get commission, but you can set it up and you can play the game with me and perhaps we can support each other as a community. So let's dive into it and look at how to gamify your life and work. This is called Hibiscus, Habitaca. I think it's Hibiscus, like that. And so far it's free. I haven't paid. I'm sure at some point I'll have to pay for something. But I just spent an hour getting clear on what matters to me. First thing is meditate 20 minutes. And these are the daily practices. I will lose points if I don't do them every day. Meditate 20 minutes, walk with my dog, Bella, set my targets for the next day. I try and pick 2 targets for the next day so I wake up knowing what's important. Microdosing. I've been doing research. There are certain substances, if you take a very small dose, apparently it's good for your health. It can help with depression, maybe anxiety, maybe PTSD. I don't know. And I got a bunch of those things. it's something I'm doing anyway, I want to be rewarded for it. I want points. I want to see like, okay, you did it. Because it's not always easy. And then a green smoothie every day. So those are my daily practices, and I'll probably double or triple those over time as I realize the things I'm already doing or that I want to do. Now, they're smart enough to realize there are some things that you don't want to be penalized if you don't do them. So this is the more extensive section for me. These are habits I'd like to develop, or just good practices that I want to be recognized for or recognize myself for. For example, 1 minute of dancing. Put on the music, dance for a minute. I rarely do it, but it's fun. I'm sure it's good for me. But my hope is that knowing that I'll get points for it. And I've got a friend, by the way, who just loves points. She's like, do I get points for that? Yes, you get points for that. Yay! So it's fun. My hope is this will motivate me to do more of the things on this list, like dancing. So I'll go through some of the things I came up with, hoping it'll jog some ideas for you. If I work for 25 minutes on anything, if I work for 25 minutes on direct client outreach, then that's more. I've marked that as hard. It's edgy for me to just like reach out to people and say, where are you at in your life? Do you want support? Or anything, direct like that. So I get more points for that. 25 minutes of programming or learning to program, because I think having a project and learning something is good for me. A big part of my work is publishing podcasts. So whenever I publish a full podcast with all the assets that go with it, that's marked as hard because it's a lot of work. So I get points for that. And by the way, if you can see this video, you click the plus sign whenever you do one of these things and you clock up points or mana or health or something like that. And again, we'll talk about rewards later. If I help somebody, if I help a friend, coach a friend for free, or reach out to a friend to check how they're doing, or volunteer for Authentic Relating International and I lead a Zoom call for the prison inmates, then I get points for that because I think that's good for me. It's a good thing to do. Doing the Byron Katie work for 25 minutes, points. Doing the Byron Katie work, which is a way to bust open your limiting beliefs and the beliefs that are causing you pain. If I do it during the night when I'm not sleeping, extra points. I've marked that as hard because I tend to avoid it. I'm kind of groggy, but I think it would be really valuable to do it then. If I receive a therapy or coaching session, points. Watching a feel-good movie. I watched one last night. I haven't been doing it very often. Oh my goodness. I watched How to Train Your Dragon. And I had such a great release at the end. Just cried and cried just because I felt emotional and just was able to release it. Beautiful. So that goes on the list here to encourage me to do that. Let's look at the vices. I hope that's given you some ideas for how you can list your practices that you want to reward yourself for and track and measure. This app will track your stats. So I'll be able to look back a month from now and see how often I did these things. So black tea, I lose just a little bit. I might add to this herbal tea, I gain a point. Regular coffee, lose more. I just don't think caffeine's good. If I take half a sleeping pill, I lose some points. If I take a whole sleeping pill, I lose more points. If I play a game online alone for more than 1 hour in one sitting, I lose points. If I play more than 2 hours of games in general alone, I lose more points. If I watch more than 2 TV episodes in a night or more than one movie, say I do one movie in an episode, then I lose points. So I'm not saying, I think you're getting this. I'm not saying you should take on my values. I'm saying, what are your values? Come up with some rules. Come up with some rules for your game of life. This is your game of life. All right, so we've done dailies. These are the things that I want to do every day. Then we've done habits, the good ones and the bad ones. And then the to-do list I found interesting. So I've already got a to-do list, but I don't get points. and I want points. So I've got here explore ketamine therapy, do my 1099s for tax, create another app called the Life Practices app, set up a men's cuddle party. This is something, and that's hard for me because it's going to be some work, and even attending, it could take a lot of energy. So if you can see this app, if you can't, I'll describe it. But I click on it and I've created a checklist. So within the to-dos, you can break it down into different tasks and you get more points that way. And I think it's clever because sometimes tasks can seem a bit overwhelming. So you break it down into to-dos. Setting up the men's cuddle party, I have to agree a date with Mark, create the invite people, probably post it on Facebook, and then attend it. And I'll get points for every single one of those things. So those are the to-dos. And then the last part, very interesting, and I think completely optional, is rewards. Now, as you accrue points, you can spend those points or coins or whatever they are to buy rewards. I want a PlayStation 4 and a PlayStation virtual reality kit. So I can play some games where I move my body. And I haven't worked out the scoring structure yet, like how many points are worth what, but I've set for an initial target, say 400 points. When I've accumulated that, then I get a reward. And that's motivating for me. Plus, when I buy it, I'll feel like I've earned it, less than I've been frivolous. And I want to buy an elliptical machine so I can exercise when it's really cold outside. So that's it for the app. I'm so impressed with Hibiscus. You don't need to use the app. Your assignment, should you choose to accept it, is to write down right now, or definitely by the end of today, an initial list of the things you're already doing that you want to keep doing. So this is like a start, stop, continue spectrum. What are the things you want to continue doing and reward yourself for? What are the things that you want to start doing? And then what are the things that you'd like to stop doing or do less? You could add those as the negative habits. And then if you want, go ahead and grab Hibiscus. I think it's amazing, and set it up and start playing. And I'd love to hear from you. If you did it, if you wrote down your lists, I'd love to hear from you if you've set it up on the app. You can post a comment below if you're watching on YouTube, or you can go to playforreal.life/podcast and find this episode and leave a comment there. And then if you actually start tracking it and it's motivating you, I want to hear from you, especially. Let's motivate each other to gamify our life.
You've been listening to Tough Conversations with David Wood. Now it's action time. Mastering your tough conversations will have a major impact on your team, your company, and you as a high-performing executive or entrepreneur. If you're ready, request a discovery session with me at playforreal.life so we can transform your team, your company, and you. And if you've enjoyed this episode, I would love you to help me spread this message of tough conversations in a very simple way. Just leave a public review at playforreal.life/podcast. And you may hear me read it out loud and thank you live on a future podcast. Now, let's play.